Afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. So I'm going to post this nice video on COVID. This is going to be a response to Hassan Campbell. You know, in my other videos, I've stated for a long time that this channel was an effort to, a platform so people can have conversations, nuanced conversations, spread their, espouse their views, and have discussions rooted in fact. Having fact-based discussions, having sound arguments. In the instance you may think your argument's not sound, we can move forward and we can discuss that and move forward with that. Um, um, and the idea was, one thing was specifically for black people, because a lot of minorities, there's a lot of anti-intellectualism that exists within the black community. A lot of people who are anti-intellectuals. It's not beneficial. And if people have watched some of my other videos, I've stated that anti-intellectualism kills, period. Hassan Campbell, one thing that I've said people need to be aware of are people who are somewhat similar to Hassan Campbell. You have views, some things are true, but you shoehorn a lot of your nonsensical, unsound arguments inside your entire argument, so people can't parse between what's factually true and what's a conspiracy theory you're trying to throw out. Hassan Campbell will be running from people. Hassan Campbell always wants to punch. He always wants to punch down and try to attack people or make it seem like he's like he's really about this intellectual battle, but he is not. Hassan Campbell has stopped using his hashtags, partially because of me. He's not going to say so, but he's partially stopped his because of me. Now, I'm not going to make it about me versus him. It doesn't need to be. But as I've said, as a person who agrees with him on a few things, he needs to have more precision with the things that are coming out of his mouth. This is related to the nonsense that's coming out of his mouth related to Nicki Minaj. So let's just summarize it. He thinks some things are a dictatorship. He thinks some things are infringements on people's rights. He's saying it's not a big deal because she said because Nicki Minaj stated that even though she likes the vaccine, she thinks people should do their research. When Hassan makes these arguments, he's not understanding that he has a fundamental misunderstanding of certain things, and this is pushing him to sit on the fence and make it seem like people have the same level of that people hold themselves under the same scrutiny, and that their belief should be held to the same standard. So Hassan is under the belief that usually Hassan's idea and many people's idea, it's not about the fact that you have an uninformed opinion, it's the idea that you have an opinion. Hassan's, in this example related to COVID, Hassan's comment was, oh, she said she may take the vaccine, but she's just telling everyone to do their research. Here's the thing. The problem with COVID is there are people who think they have the answers outside of people who are way more informed than they will ever be in their life. The academic consensus, if you're someone who's not an idiot, who didn't fail high school biology, it makes total sense that the vaccines are the most effective thing against it. When he says he's open, they just made this decision or she just said this, but this, what he's doing is this is a position that he wants to hold to feel that he's consistent in the deontological idea of speech. We have debate, we do it, blah, blah, but it's not. Like I've said in the past, many places we do not work like this, right? We don't have Nazis who have these beliefs. We don't have Nazis that has these beliefs and we're like, you know what? Well, it happens, but the idea is, no, you don't want Nazis to just be going around doing whatever they want, saying whatever they say, because this is the paradox. The intolerant aren't tolerant of the tolerant, and the intolerant end up taking over the tolerant. In this example, not Nazism or anything like that, this is related to the idea of anti-intellectualism. Most people who are going to do their research, when she's saying, but, if you look at the entire conversation, the entire tweet she made, hey, I'm going to get the vaccine, but I heard that one of my friends got like he's now impotent, or like he can't perform in the bed. Like, come on. You're saying that you are in support of the vaccine, but not in support of it at the same time. And you're making it seem like this is a genuine belief, and you want everyone and you know, everybody is entitled to their own choice, which that's true, right? Everybody's entitled to their own choice. But on top of people being entitled to their own choice, the consequences of them engaging in those actions based off of their belief system, that leads to people dying. It's not the fact that your choices alone are just impacting you and nobody else is getting impacted. This is not how this works with COVID. Like, if you don't want to take the vaccine, you get infected. Due to or not, there's a group of other people who get infected. So if one person gets infected with COVID and they don't have severe symptoms, or they may not, there's always a pool that they interact with. And in that entire pool, there are a variety of people who have symptoms ranging from from acute to mild symptoms, right? Worst case, death, right? So when he makes these posts, or you have people making statements like, I agree, but I don't agree, or I agree, but in my attempt to make it seem like I agree, I'm trying to delegitimize what I'm saying I agree with, and making it seem like it's everyone's choice. Like, that's not how it works. Nicki Minaj, and Hassan's doing it too, and he did it too. The same thing Nicki Minaj is doing. If you are in support of the vaccine, right, it should be very clear. Is it because you trust science, or because you're being forced? Or there are many other other reasons, but these will be one of the other two. You cannot reconcile your being forced with you believe the vaccines are beneficial. Why? Because I'm willing to hear an argument, but the idea is usually there's always some implication there. Well, I've heard of some stories of some things happening. The reality is the academic consensus, the fact-based argument, that the fact-based discussions that people have about COVID, there is no back and forth. So when people make it seem like laymen or lay people should make an effort to do their own research, and that they're at the same ground, or that they have the same fundamental understanding to even engage in the theoreticals pertaining to COVID, when there's nothing but proof, there's nothing but evidence that most people die who are unvaccinated. Like, there's so much information out there. Making it seem like, it's just up for discussion is not good. We go into Hassan's video, it's nothing spewed, it's nothing but bullshit. Okay? Part of it is what he said. Oh, dictatorship, freedom. Then he tries to race bait and tries to ask black people or like some activists why they don't want to defend the well-being of black people when Biden is president. Like, this is the example of where he may have the opportunity to make some valid points, not a sound argument, but valid points that are open for discussion, and then he just goes like off the rails, right? Firstly, every single law is an ordinance. Every single law is an attempt to modify your behavior. You are not free ever. People need to stop playing this little semantics game. Well, it's not a semantics game. It's just them just not understanding what they're saying. Every law, even a stoplight, is something that is modifying your behavior. You are not free. You are not free. This is not how the world works, and this has never been the case. So when people try to throw out the idea that your rights are being infringed on, or that your ability to choose or your freedom, you don't really have freedom. If that was the case, you'd be living in your own place with no laws. That is not a thing. That doesn't exist. Well, in some other place if you want to have a village, but most people are broke, so they don't have the ability to do that. These are, these are things. So, no, we're not just going to respect people's views for freedom. You equating this to Black Lives Matter. Why would, when it's proven, not for your dumbass low IQ black shit about, vaccines and the mark of the beast, none of that nonsense. When it is proven that it is the most beneficial for people, especially black people, why would you make an effort to compare these things, to push a person like Tamika Mallory or some of these activists to engage in actions or advocate for positions that are deadlier to their people. Black people are the ones who got the blood pressure, hypertension, all that stuff. So you're telling them to advocate for not getting the vaccine when the vaccine impacts people worse who have these comorbidities. Like, it's confusing. That's one. So we're over that. That's easy. Boom. It doesn't make sense. Most people don't have the same opinions. All people don't have informed opinions. That is not how this works with COVID. There is an uninformed opinion and an informed opinion. People saying 3 squared is 5 cannot ever have legit conversations with people who believe 3 squared is 9. It doesn't happen. You can't move forward in the discussion if premises aren't even agreed upon. If we're having a fundamental misunderstanding of what a square root is or what a square is, and you're saying that it's addition when it's multiplying by the same number or adding the same number, an amount of, well, no, that's not, yeah, squares, like that's, right, right? If you're talking, if there are fundamental differences in your approach, no one's gonna have the same opinion. And there is a consensus here. COVID can best be prevented by getting a vaccine, and there's nothing else to say about it. The fact that she's jumping on the fence or you're jumping on the fence and now you're trying to call out people and make it seem like, it's a big conspiracy, it's not. Cut the shit. Another very important statement I want to make to Hassan, because the reality is you guys don't understand how YouTube works, so he uses this to make it, every time Hassan is under some criticism or he has some bullshit, he makes it into he partially makes it into an argument about the deep state or the elite is against him. No, dog. Your channel is losing views because their attention lowers. Don't try to lie to your viewers and make it seem like YouTube is like that, okay? There are white supremacists. There are people who are anti-vax who are more digestible than you are. The reason you're losing viewers is because over time, people are just not interested in watching your stuff as often anymore. Make something that they can be attracted to. My channel is small. What am I going to say? The deeps? I'm infinitely more informed than you. Hold on, I'll take this back. I'm not going to do me. There are people who are infinitely more informed than you, and they have more extreme beliefs, and they have more views than you. You're not even on the right side of the equation. Why would people have to make an effort to hamper you because you are not making 100K views as before? That's not how it works. When it comes to viewers and subscribers, a natural unless your channel is growing at a rapid rate, you're going to get people who are not going to hold on to your views or who are going to hold on to your channel. So while your channel is increasing, if the people who've been following your channel don't keep watching your videos, yeah, your views are going to be staggered. Yeah, your views are going to be staggered. Yeah, a lot of the people who used to watch you a year ago, let's say 20,000 people watched you a year ago. It may be that 20,000 people watched you, but 1,000 or 6,000 of those people dropped off. And then in the next year, you gained another 10,000 subscribers, but your views are going to go lower. Why? Because there's a percentage of the people who were originally watching you who over time had just changed. This has nothing to do with the deep state. And Hassan keeps making this claim, and he has no proof of it. This is the problem. This is why Styles P got on your ass and you didn't say anything, really. You didn't say anything to him. You didn't really say much. And you act like you're willing to deal with these conversations. You make it seem like you're out here ready for smoke intellectually, and you're not. Many people have been calling you out and you just ignore them. Stop making it seem like it's a big conspiracy against you. I'm not gonna go into some personal stuff that you've done, but the reality is there's certain things that are going to occur, and they have nothing to do with the information you're spewing. It's not a grand conspiracy to end you or any. You're not that important. You're not that important because you're not in charge of anything. If anything, you just need to be shut down. You're part of anti-intellectualism. Here's another thing about the world, right? That I've stated before. Like if you're living in a system, there are always people who are going to have power over you. Many times, it's not even about who has the best argument. It's about who can impose their will on you because of the power that they have. When you are in a situation like this where there are so many stupid people who don't want to get informed about COVID and they don't want to get the vaccines, and they're risking the lives of medical professionals, they're risking the time away from families that medical professionals need to take away to treat your, when they got to deal with all this stuff because people don't want to listen, you have to realize what's at risk here. And this means that if you give people more freedom, people die. If you are an individual who's in this, knowing that people are going to be angry all the time, you can't please everybody, people have to make choices. And the best choice would be to mandate. If I obviously know more than you, you're constantly saying no, I know what I'm saying is right, you're trying to play a game, and it seems like you just cannot comprehend what I'm saying is correct, yeah, I'm gonna just do what I want to do. And the reality is, depending on the system that we're in, I can own you. I can do whatever I want to do. Let's, for example, this will be similar to a child, right? When you were a kid, you hated some things your parents wanted to do, but you lived in their house. There was nothing you can do. Even if your argument makes sense and they were lying and they were full of it and they didn't even make sense in the argument, it's their house. They write all the time. Now, this is not the perfect analogy, right? Because this doesn't happen in every instance, but the idea is, because the idea is that, you've stated something as the child where it's actually true and it's not true. I'm just saying the idea of a power dynamic existing and there being people who don't agree in that power dynamic and you not really having to put any argument that makes more sense and you just force them to do it. In this instance, this is that example. The reality is that the vaccines are safe. The reality is that most people, that you are better off protected, you are more protected from COVID getting a vaccine than getting naturally infected. The people who have been saving the lives, who have prevented more deaths from happening, as opposed to the Donald Trump administration, it has been because they've been following science. And if they are the people who are in the top, who have the most power in this power dynamic, yeah, the best decision is to just do it. What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It would be just like you when you were back home as a little kid. You don't have a choice. People always want to make it seem like they have freedom, but you never have. And when you make these statements and when you get caught up in these little loaded one-liners of freedom, stop it. Because these conversations or these things are more complicated than that. You are a walking contradiction, making it seem like you are already not being controlled and that it's necessary. We don't work in this world where the concept of just free, no, that's not how it works. So stop it. It's not a big conspiracy against you. It's not a conspiracy against the people. Biden is not a dictator, because if he was a dictator, then what? I guess when Washington did the vaccination and that was about America and stuff, and he's one of the founding fathers, that I guess he's a dictator. I mean, I guess. But I guess the Federalist Papers and all that just didn't come on, bro. So when you speak about some of these things, it's indicative of you having a fundamental misunderstanding of politics. I am not an expert at all, but it's obvious that many people don't read, and you speak about things more like you know more than you do, and you don't. Hassan Campbell, Nicki Minaj, all these things, stop it. Part of the problem with you for the black community is you spread misinformation, and you also you identify that there is some issues with BLM and them not paying attention to shootings as much as they'd be trying to pay attention to white people. And even that, my framework isn't the same as yours, and many people aren't. But people need to be aware of the reality that you are going to mix bullshit with things that may be agreeable that you can talk about. Stop the nonsense, bro. You're not going to stop. You're going to act like you didn't read me, or you most likely won't for this, because, I see your approach. I know you're not going to respond to comments when I see you making fresh comments and you liking everyone but mine's. But people, like the world is not a big conspiracy. The reason why black people are mandated to take the vaccines or people are mandated to take the vaccines, because it's better for your life. You do not know better. Whatever PhD scientists you met, they're like the contrarian, funny kid who used to get laughed at in school, who thought he had the answer, but he always failed the test. These people are not respected anywhere. And the results of their beliefs show people dying. The results of their beliefs of actions based on their beliefs yield to people dying. The results of the people who mandate the vaccines, that results in people staying alive. Check China. Why does China, where it started in, why do they have less cases than us? Think about that. Think about people who may have died for you. Think about your family members who may have died. Would you have risked that freedom for their safety? Or are you just gonna let 500K plus die and it's whatever because it's a 90, like, come on, bro. Y'all gotta do better. Black people gotta do better. Stop falling for this anti-intellectualism. And Hassan, stop acting like you really about having discussions and trying to improve communities and you are the only one on the channel and on YouTube. That's not it. That's not it. Your channels are going down because, you're people tired of it. They grow. I hope for the benefit of the people who used to watch you and your views are going down, they want to something better. Not only that, if you know just the general evolution of a video, the progression of a video, the video goes up, there's a peak, it plateaus, and then it goes down. And then it may have a sharp drop where people never go to it. That pattern is not Hassan Campbell isn't impervious to that view pattern, to that retention pattern. It's not a conspiracy, bro. There's a bunch is going around. Like, comment, subscribe, but it's basically for Hassan Campbell. Stop spreading misinformation, bro. Stop being a goofy. You're already homophobic. You're already throwing out stuff. You got issues with gay people. Now you spreading out COVID misinformation again. Stop. And you be going on other channels acting like you're about it, but you disappear when people are just willing to have, I'm gonna shoot you, none of that. You always got to deal with drama when it comes to these conversations. Have a discussion with someone like me. Don't do the opposite. Don't do the opposite. Like, comment, subscribe.